In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to land your first high ticket sales role as an appointment setter, even if you have zero experience in sales, you've never made money online before, but you want to get to your first $3,000 to $8,000 a month, live anywhere in the world, and have freedom from a remote high ticket sales appointment setting position. Now, my name is Tanner Johansson. Welcome back to the series where I basically teach you everything that I have learned going from a Hooters cook when I was 19 years old to now making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year at now 21 years old and doing high ticket sales for almost 3 years now at this point, because I'm turning 22 in just a few days. So there's a few keys to success when it comes to landing an appointment setting position. I landed my first appointment setting position when I was 19. Again, I had zero sales experience, but I did have to go through the ups and downs of having, the kind of entry level positions until I could really get into a good position and start actually making the big money in high ticket sales, which, once you get experience in high ticket sales, you become a closer after you be a setter, then that's where you can really get to like the $15,000 to $20,000 months, and of course higher with time and of course with work as well. So this is definitely not a get rich quick scheme, but if you are looking to get into high ticket sales, this is going to be the best guide to actually break in and start getting your foot into the door. Now, there's a few ways to actually do it. When you think of high ticket sales, you have to think of it as when you're breaking into it, you just need to get some experience, get some proof of concept, make a little bit of money, get comfortable talking to people over the phone. And then from there, that's when you can actually start getting into the really good roles, into the really good companies, and start getting really good clients to actually do appointment setting or closing for. And that's where you're going to make the big money. But when you're new, your main goal should just be honestly getting some experience, getting onto a role, getting the foundations built up as far as your skill set goes, like actually talking to people, asking questions, and actually getting good at sales before you start going for the really, really good roles where you're going to make big money. So that should be your mindset going into it. And there's a few key ways here that I think is honestly the best ways to get into and break your foot into the space. So number one is Facebook. Facebook has great entry level positions. And again, these entry level positions, these aren't going to be the ways where this isn't going to be the same way you land these, longer term offers where you're making 15 and 20,000 a month. These are just to get your foot in the door when you have no experience, no connections, and you're kind of a nobody in the space, right? And so if you're new, do not let that hold you back. So number one is Facebook, right? This is like a Facebook group that you can join for free. There's tons and tons of opportunities being posted every single day. Some of these are really good and some of these are complete trash, right? And so you have to be very careful when you're in these, because in this video, I'm going to break down what you should actually look for to know that you're actually getting into a decent role, like a half decent role where you can actually make some money and get experience. So stick around where I break down the exact things I look for. But before we get into that, let's look at this Facebook group. So this is hosted by a guy named Zach Brown. He's a prominent name in the high ticket space. He's a recruiter. And this is where he's made this group where tons of business owners are in here trying to find appointment setters and closers. So even Zach Brown, he's a recruiter. So basically companies pay him to find setters and closers for their companies. So here's like a job posting that he just posted actually yesterday. And he has like a whole job board. So like obviously, he's hiring closers. So obviously not going to be the best if you have no experience, but he's also hiring setters. Like for example, this is like a business to business type offer. It's a coaching offer, which is super, super ideal. You want to be on some sort of info product or like a coaching offer. So it looks like this is a coaching offer for people that have like a trade business, like, looks like plumbers, electricians, landscapers. So it looks like the setters, it says team earnings last 90 days. The setters made $7,000 to $9,000. And then the closers made, 21 to 25,000, 25 to 30,000, 30 to 40K. And I'm assuming that's, in 90 days. So the setters, they're making on the bottom end, 2 to 3,000 a month. On the top end, the setters are making 3 to 4,000 a month. And then closers, on the top end are making 10 to 12, 13, 14,000 a month. So that's really solid. Like this is like a good example of a company you would want to be on because they're doing good numbers. And I believe for the setters, You know, they're doing good, pretty solid numbers as well, right? 3 to 4K a month as a setter, great way to get some experience, right? So this is just an example of, you know, the Facebook group. Here's another one. Same with Zach Brown's hiring for this one as well. Medical education offer. So this one has a $1,500 per month base. So a lot of the students that I work with one-to-one, where I basically help them get into these positions, and I can give them my coaching and personalized guidance to help them do this. A lot of times I help them get into roles once they have a little bit of experience that gives them a base pay. Like for example, my student Attila, shout out you Attila, he's on a role where he's making $2,000 a month base, plus I think like 3 to 5% in commission. And I think last month he did $100,000 in deals that he set, plus he has a $2,000 a month base. And guys, when he started, he had zero experience. And I've been able to help him work up into a role like that, where, you know, now he's probably making $4,000 to $7,000 a month from anywhere in the world. And before he was not making that much just in a 9 to 5 job. So this is something that I help a lot of my students get onto, is like an offer with a base. So here's just a couple examples from Zach Brown. Let's look for a couple more here. You kind of just want to scroll through here and apply to the positions that look interesting, right? Here's another one. Bajorn is like another recruiter. He says, not your typical high ticket sales role. This is a closer role though, so probably need some experience for that. So you want to look for like the setter roles in here, right? And you can just scroll through here. Here's a hybrid setter and closing role. A lot of my students have been hired by Diego and have made great money. So this is just an example, like for their first roles. This one has an on-target earnings of $3,000 to $6,000 per month. You know, good stuff there. You want to read through the details. Here's one, hiring a full-time appointment setter. So this one is solid. As you can see here, $2,000 a month base, $250 per commission, in commission per deal that you set that ends up closing. Warm inbound leads. That's something that you really want to look for, is those warm inbound leads, because you don't want to be cold calling, right? As an appointment setter, you want to talk to people that are already interested, that already want to buy what you're selling, right? Makes your job a lot easier. And then obviously team support, stuff like that. And then you would just want to drop, you know, their keyword in the comments, or DM them to apply. And that's how you can apply, right? So you can get a lot of applications in through Facebook. And this is why it is on my list, not because you're going to land like, you know, a 15 to 20,000 a month role here. Probably not. I mean, it's definitely possible and people definitely have, but this is just a good way to start getting some experience, get your foot in the door, and then leverage that experience into better positions. Now, starting off at number 2, and by the way, these aren't in any particular order. These are just different ways you can go about it. Number 2 is LinkedIn. So let's tab over to LinkedIn here. You want to make sure your LinkedIn is dialed. So again, guys, if you want help with this, you want help making a personal video that you send to these companies that, you know, actually sells you as the best fit to join their team. You want help with your LinkedIn. You want personalized coaching to actually get into high ticket sales, and personalized coaching from me to actually make you a beast setter or closer. Click the first link in the description, book a call with me to actually, you know, apply for my Closer Launchpad Inner Circle, where I've helped dozens and dozens of guys go from scratch to hitting their first 5, 10, 15, and even $20,000 months with high ticket sales from complete scratch. And I have a ton of interviews on my channel of students that have done this, and it's fully documented in their story. So again, if you want to fast track your progress, schedule a call with me, link in the description. But this is kind of an idea of what your LinkedIn should look like, right? You want to have a good profile picture that shows your face, ideally a smile. You want to have a good banner, and then you want to have your experience here, right? And if you don't have sales experience, you just want to essentially just take the experience that you have. Like, let's say if you were a waiter, for example, you could just take the experience you have and frame it to where you could actually be a good fit for a sales position, right? So like if you had any job where you're talking to people, you can use that. You can say, you know, you find people's problems, you found them the best solution, you upsold them, like if you're a waiter. Tons of different ways you can go about it, right? Or even just your work ethic, right? You can sell yourself on your work ethic. You can sell yourself on your characteristics that are going to help you succeed in sales, even if you have no experience, right? So you want to be creative with that. Make sure this is super dialed in. You don't have to have anything too crazy, but you want to make sure you have a good profile picture, a good banner, and a good bio. And you can use AI for this to where it kind of writes it for you. Just make sure you tell it to frame your experience as if you were applying for a high ticket sales role, right? And then AI will, you know, frame it as if you were looking for a high ticket sales role, So it's all about the framing of your experience, right? You don't want to never, you never want to outwardly say that you have no experience. You just want to tailor your experience in a way that's going to help you get these positions. So LinkedIn is solid. You want to go to the job section, and just type in appointment setter. I will say, LinkedIn is hit or miss as well, right? You guys want to be careful because there's a lot of like pyramid schemes in here where they're basically saying they're gonna, it's like $8,000 and they're gonna give you a job, right? They're hiring you in exchange for $8,000 and they're gonna give you the money back once you succeed. These are complete scams. Do not fall for it. If anyone tells you that they're charging you for a position and you have to pay for a position, it's a complete scam. Every good high ticket sales role you don't have to pay for. So those ones are just pyramid schemes. Now, if you're paying for coaching, let's say, like a lot of students, hundreds of people at this point have paid me for coaching in high ticket sales, but I'm not charging them for a job. I'm charging them for my knowledge, my time, and teaching them everything that I've learned in the space and helping them personally. That's the main difference. So make sure you guys are careful about that. But there's a lot of positions in here that are not really what we're looking for. So you want to kind of find the ones that we're actually looking for, right? So like this one, for example, this is like a recruiting company, Elite CEOs. And like this is a good example of what you want, right? They give a $1,000 per month base pay. So plus you get commission on top of that, of course. This is for DM setting. Let's see, high intent leads, which means warm leads, exactly what we're looking for. So setter SDR, opt-in inbound leads, right? Again, that's what we're looking for. Inbound leads, not cold leads. And then qualify and book in with the closers. And then the links to apply. So that's like a good example. That's what you want to be looking for. Sales tech, I'm pretty sure this is like one of the companies that are just like complete scammers. So be careful of that. So you're going to have to be doing a lot of filtering, right? Here's a good example. High ticket appointment setter coaching and transformation programs. That's kind of what we're looking for, right? We're looking for the coaching programs. We want to be selling an info product. That's the best space to be in. That's where the most money is. So let's read this. Building the sales team with intention. High ticket appointment setter. Consistently book 4 quality sets per day. You'll support paid buyers and warm leads who already feel the pull guiding them forward. So that's exactly what we want, right? We want warm leads, people who are already interested, intentional dials with paid buyers and warm leads. And that's exactly what we want, right? Because then you're not like trying to convince people to do something they don't want. You're just booking people in that are already interested in the product, right? And that's where your job becomes very, very easy and actually fun. So this would be a good example as well, right? And you just want to apply, go through the process, make sure you stand out. And I have other videos on my channel of how you can actually do that. But again, LinkedIn, solid option. That's how you do it. And if guys, just so you know, the more volume you put in, the more likely you are to get a position. So the more roles you apply to, the more likely you are to get a position. So volume is very important when it comes to this. All right, lastly, another good way to land positions, you have Indeed. Like these are always good as well. Indeed, like different job platforms, that could be good. But honestly, the best one is going to be basically like paid networks and paid communities, right? And the reason I say paid in the beginning is because like if you're brand new to the space, you probably don't have a big network, right? But the best way to land high ticket sales roles is just your network and networking. And this is like when I moved to Thailand, I met so many guys that were doing high ticket sales. It put me far ahead. And I joined networks. Like I think I paid $5,000 just to be in a network of entrepreneurs in Thailand. And that's where I met my best friends. That's where I met guys making millions of dollars. That's where I met guys that were crushing it with high ticket closing. And that's where guys met me. And I was crushing it with appointment setting and high ticket closing when I first moved to Thailand. And I helped people from that network get onto companies that I was in, like multiple people that ended up making 10 to 20,000 a month, which is why I ended up even starting Closer Launchpad, because I was helping guys for free literally make like 10 to 20,000 a month. And I was like, I need to start charging for this. This is insane. Just because I had built up my network, I had paid for networks, and then other people were in those networks, and then they were connected with me, they were friends with me, and that's why I would get them onto these companies. So networking is a huge and powerful way to get onto companies. And just to give you another example, the offer and the my client that I currently close for, because I'm still doing high ticket closing, I'm still in the game, I'm still doing it. And if you're going to learn from someone, you want to learn from someone that's actually doing it right now. So I'm closing for a big YouTuber in the trading space, actually more kind of like investing space. So he basically teaches people how to invest their money, builds them retirement plans, and he charges $6,000 for it. So I basically just take calls for him with his potential clients. I close those deals. I make $720 commission for every deal I close. That's how I'm right now making 10 to 20,000 a month consistently. And I'm only working like 4 to 5 hours per day. Like this entire week, I'm in Florida. I'm not even taking any calls. There's tons of flexibility. So you want to learn from someone that's actually doing this. But the story I was going to give you is that the entire sales team is literally students from my community and my network, the Closer Launchpad Inner Circle. His entire sales team, because I've connected my students with the sales manager from that offer, and he's just hired all my students. And he's hired for other offers as well. So like that's the power of networking. And just to show you guys as well, inside of my Discord community, I have a ton of, oops, just to show you guys inside of my Discord community, I have a ton of opportunities from networks that I'm in and connections that I have that I just post for my students. So this is just kind of an example, like if you want to join Closer Launchpad, again, link in the description, but I'm just showing you guys for educational purposes, the power of getting into the right networks, right? So like here, hiring for webinars, good way to print a few thousand in a week and get experience. So I basically post, and I'm not going to click on it so you guys can't steal it because my students, pay to have access to this. But as you can see, the top setters and closers are making a few thousand in like a week, a few thousand a week on this opportunity. Let's see, this one that I posted yesterday, this guy was hiring a high-level setter, inbound plus warm leads, fast-growing team, 2,000 to 3,000 per month on target earnings. And all of these, like they'll hire you without experience, especially like if you're connected with me, you have a good coach. Here's another one, looking for 2 closers for a BizOp offer. On target earnings is 10 to 15,000 a month. So there's like these bigger offers as well. Or like, for example, my student Daniel, he's actually closing and setting for a guy named Sonua. So if you've seen him, he's like a big e-com guy. I don't know how many followers he has, probably like 1 million followers on Instagram. It's the 2 brothers. And the top closers are making 20 to 30K per month. And he's on the offer and they're hiring more closers. So he says, let me know if you think you'd be a good fit, right? This is the power of this because now my student Rishi, he's crushing, he's about to do closing full time. He made like $2,000 his first week on another company. Pietro, he's brand new to this as well. Shout out you guys. Now they're getting opportunities to be on these roles just because they're inside of my network, right? And just tons and tons of opportunities coming in here all the time with people that I know I'm connected with and people that are inside of networks that I'm in that are always hiring, or like my student Dylan, for example. If you guys have been following the channel, you've seen his journey. He went from scratch a year ago, 0 sales experience at 19. He went from setting to closing, and now he's a sales manager. He's basically hiring for these big coaches, managing their sales team, making great money at the same time, and he's hiring a lot of my students as well. So he's in here hiring people, and these opportunities go on and on and on. So again, that's a great way to land positions, is getting into the right networks, the right paid communities, because that's where the best positions are. And a lot of that is done through networking. So again, LinkedIn, Facebook, networking, all good ways to do it. Networking is by far the best. Once you actually start building some connections, right? Like let's say if you do join a paid community or a paid network, or you get a coach that has good connections for you, like myself, then you can start building connections a lot faster. It's like the snowball effect, right? Because you're going to start connecting from guys in there. Those guys are going to be connected with other guys, and then you're just building those connections, building your network. That's how you can really crush it in this space. But again, guys, like if you're young, you want to make money online, you should also be spending time in places where other young guys are hanging out, making money online, right? Places like Thailand, places like Bali, places like Colombia, like all these places where there's a high concentration of entrepreneurs. That's like obviously next level, and that's a big commitment, but that is where you're going to like really build your circle, really build your network of online entrepreneurs. And like every online business almost needs setters and closers and salespeople. So that's another key to success as well. You don't have to do that, but if you're down to and you really want to take this seriously, I mean, that's going to help you a lot. So as far as like actually knowing what to look for when it comes to these positions, you want to look for a company that's doing at least 50 to 100,000 a month, right? At least. And you should be asking them these questions when you're on the interview. You should look for a company where you're not the first sales rep. So you shouldn't be the first closer. You shouldn't be the first setter. You want to find a company that's established, that has other people on the sales team, that's actually been there for a while, that's been making money. Because if they've been making money, then there's really no reason you can't make money on the team, right? But you could be really, really good at sales. And if you join a shit company that doesn't have a good product, you're probably not going to make that much money. So you want to make sure the company you're joining is actually at least solid to at least get some good experience, right? And at least make a little bit of money in the beginning for your first couple roles. Secondly, you want to look for like organization, right? Are they actually organized? Do they actually have their shit together? Or does it seem like they don't even know what's going on? People don't even want their product, the leads are horrible, etc. Right? So you want to look for those sorts of things. But the biggest thing is just like, are they actually doing like 50 to 100,000 a month as like, you know, with their product that they're selling? If they are, then it's probably like a little bit established. You have that proof of concept and people actually want to buy it, which is going to make your job a lot easier. And then at least they have a closer, they have a setter that are making decent money that you want to make. Those are the main three things you want to look for. Like as long as they have those things, then you should join the offer and at least give it a shot because it's free, right? And you should really treat this as like if you were a business owner, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a job, like a performance-based job. But at the end of the day, you're kind of running your own business, right? You're just running your own business inside of another business. So you really want to treat this like a business, right? And so if one company isn't working out, you want to ditch that company and go for a new client as soon as possible, right? Don't waste time. You want to negotiate. You want to ask them the right questions because at the end of the day, you're partnering up with these companies to sell their product and they're going to pay you a percentage of the money that you bring in. So it's really a partnership at the end of the day. And you need to treat these partnerships as such, right? If you're not getting the value, you leave or you negotiate, and you're always fighting for a better position in the space, right? And you want to use that experience that you're getting from these more entry-level offers and then go and get better clients, go and get into better partnerships, better companies, because that's how you scale, right? It's not like a job where like you should be loyal to that job and you're going to make the same amount and like maybe they're going to give you raises. No, like you need to get that out of your head completely because it's the complete opposite. You want to get into companies fast. You want to leave companies fast. You want to negotiate quickly, get into the best positions, and you need to treat this like your business, right? The good thing about it though is that it doesn't take any money to run. It doesn't take, my camera just died. It doesn't take very much skills to run. All you need is to just learn this skill, get into some entry-level positions, and then you're going to be good and you're going to be scaling up from there. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got a lot of value. If you want to learn how my student Paul went from scratch to now he's on track to make like 7,000 to 10,000 a month, watch this video right here, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Peace.